On Thursday, I was getting my haircut and weird-ass children's shows were playing on their television. One really interested me. Even though the animation was cheap and shoddy, I could tell that it was something foreign. And the thought of, this is so weird, never left my mind. So when my haircut was finished, I went back home to search for this show. And after like no time, I found it and began spending 3 days watching every single episode. And I gotta say that this is indeed one of the most bizarre cartoons that I've ever seen in my life. And I really want to review it on my channel, since I've never seen anyone talk about it. And I thought that it might be fun to review a cartoon like this. The show that I'm talking about is called Chicken Stew Salted Egg Temple, or Chicken Stew, Tales from the Salted Egg Temple. I don't know which one it is, but it's a Chinese cartoon for 6 to 15 year olds, as said in every description for each episode. Misleading age range to say the least. This could be a spin-off or sequel to a show called Chicken Stew, but that has like 400 episodes and it's not even in English, so there's no way I was ever gonna watch any of that, versus the 74 episodes of I'm just showing it to Salted Egg Temple. 3 episodes are missing, by the way. Also, I could just find this show weird and worth talking about because I'm an American and the show's for Chinese people, and every Chinese cartoon could be as odd as this. Odd as in like weird scenes like this. Really made me question what the hell I was watching, man. And this is just a normal over there, but I still found this cartoon interesting and entertaining enough for me to review it. And plus, why not have a unique cartoon to review that no one else knows about or talked about? I think that it'd be a good idea to summarize what happens in the entire series. Spoilers, of course, but I assume that you're probably not going to spend God damn it, phone. Probably not going to spend 17 hours watching this whole thing. So basically what the main characters Free Range, Radisha, and Tick Tick have to do is protect the salted egg from evil hooligans, mostly the Black Ravens, which are the main bad guys. What the salted egg does is unknown for more than half of the series though. They have wacky fun times for literally 49 episodes. 10 minutes of content for each episode, and those 49 episodes are almost all episodic comedy episodes that have no story except rare and important two-parters like the 2 Hooded Hoodlum episodes. On episode 50 though, a big fight happens for about 4 episodes and they lose the salted egg to Red Claw, which is a new main villain after Gihuli tries to trap Krigo into the darkest dimension with the power of the salted egg, and Krigo pulls him in. Then they spend the rest of the series trying to find the 3 other eggs, which weren't ever mentioned previously, so that Red Claw can't rule the world. That's pretty much it, as this becomes the main plot with other small side plots along the way. Now that you have a better understanding of generally what happens in this show, I can critique the most important parts of it. I like having a good order for things, so most importantly I'll talk about the animation, art style, and how the characters look. I don't think I have to say much about the animation. As you can see, it's simple, joint based, and cheap, although it does get slightly better later on and more consistent later on as well, with the rare low FPS frame by frame animation, which works way better with the show's art style. Sometimes they try a bit more for certain fights, but oddly enough, there aren't too many fights for this show that's classified as a kung fu based series, as said in the description of nearly every episode, since most of the fights take place after episode 50, which afterwards there are 28 episodes. Even then, when they fight, it's usually very short. They reuse animations a ton, or they use still frames and black screens with slicing animations to convey that something happened. One of the funniest things that happen with the animation is when Master Waddles, yes that's his name, transforms and they use a PNG that doesn't fit the show at all. Like, look at this scene in episode 1. Always cracks me up. Back to what I was going to say though. This show, of course, has animation errors. I'm not too vigilant when it comes to animation errors, even though I animate sometimes on my main channel, but these two are the most clear that I see all the time. Radisha / Silver's cross-eyedness, it's more so just their eyes look kinda awkward at times, and Cooper's green eyes. I guess that this is because the animators take Free Range's eye assets or something and recolor them to brown, but they just forget to do this sometimes. And Silver or Radisha have awkward eyes because they both have the same eyes. and the animators weren't paying attention to how they looked. Honestly, I like Raditya's eye type more with smaller pupils. I think that it looks better. Perfect segue into talking about how the characters looked. Free Range is the only character that looks like straight ass in the show for obvious reasons, as you can see. Like compared to the two other main characters, Tik-Tik and Raditya, he stands out the most because of his face. Even Cooper, who's meant to look exactly like Free Range, looks better than him due to his eyes looking better with evil expressions, and because his eyes are brown and not green. His freaking eyes look like googly eyes, or he's always tired. But after a little rewatching, I noticed a pattern. Chuck's eyes always look way better when his pupils are gone or discolored, i.e. he looks better with simplified eyes. Like, look here versus here. His eyes when he has regular pupils looks way worse than when he's shocked and has no pupils, or when he's being knocked out by Cooper here and his pupils become smaller without any detail. I don't know why they didn't just go with simplifying his eyes, but other than Chuck's weird looking eyes, everyone looks fine except for more in the beginning where Master Waddles talks and his head moves really weirdly whenever he speaks. Seriously, man, the show is just weird sometimes. The animation in the start is just like way more ass consistently. The biggest thing that bothers me about all the characters is Free Range's tail feathers. They make absolutely no sense. Like they're hard like a sword and detachable, and they're also nunchucks, but they're also feathers.
It belongs to Free Range.
Like, it makes no sense. And his mother has them too, but they're not weapons. And his father doesn't, so I just don't know. Just had to say it because it bothered me the entire time I was watching the show. Personalities and traits of all the characters are simple, with every character being flat except Silver, who only changes from being evil because he sees Raditya and simps over her every second he's on screen with her. Although Silver's only goal is to survive and smash Raditya, and his side plot with her and the other main characters is never resolved, he's still one of my favorite characters in this because he's interesting, he isn't flat, and he's a little funny.
That's right. The hooded hoodlum. I really hate that name.
Other than that, another non-main character that shouldn't have been flat is Cooper, since he definitely could have developed if his revenge on the village played out a bit differently. He even expresses a want for things to be different way early on in the series.
I wish things were different. Huh?
Sadly though, as I said earlier, every other character is flat and simple. Of course, including each main character. The main three characters are so simple in fact that I could describe them all easily and perfectly through the adjectives. Free Range is loyal, upstanding for his morals and brave. Tik-Tik is strong, stupid, and cowardly, and Raditya is irritable but smart and fast thinking. I get that it's a kids show, but still. Thankfully though, the three main characters do bounce off each other pretty well, and it's kind of fun to watch. I don't have any specific examples though, it just happens sometimes. Tik-Tik's special though, since he does change slightly after he meets his father and gets orders from him to find the golden egg.
Now you represent all that is great in the Jingong Forest. Tik-Tik, go retrieve the gold egg. Got that?
As he becomes unafraid of water, less cowardly, and stronger in general. Although I wouldn't call the change big enough to not classify him as a flat character, as his personality and how he thinks is still the exact same afterwards. For obvious reasons, the main characters being dynamic would have made the story more interesting, like how Tik-Tik changed a little bit, but the series plot was introduced too late for the others to change in any significant way. If you're watching this far into the video, you're probably enjoying it, so it would help me if you left a like and subscribe, and if you could comment another weird, obscure, or foreign cartoon for me to talk about, since I like making these kind of videos and analyzing cartoons and such, or even different kind of media. Just leave whatever you want me to review in the comments. I might do it. Continue!
She gave me her candy, and then she gave me her heart. But what did I ever give her in return? Nothing but pain and suffering.
Now is an appropriate time to start talking critically about the plot and writing. As I said earlier, for 49 episodes, it's just episodic with a consistent theme of we gotta protect the egg, with occasional references to past episodes. It's not until episode 50 where the actual story of the main series starts. During those 49 episodes, everything is at its absolute worst. A ton of very predictable / unfunny jokes, stupid minor plots that were sometimes never resolved, stupid main plots in those episodes, and useless episodes are everywhere during these parts. It was all completely weird as hell and mind-numbing. The only reason I ever stayed was because it was sometimes funny unintentionally, and the voice acting was really funny.
So, like, that was my intro to Master Eagle's daughter, Wendy. Master Waddles asked me to take care of this little charmer in the absence of her big shot dad.
At least I could follow what was happening in some episodes. And a little later, pre-50, it got better, like at Hooded Hoodlum, I think that was like a turning point. At and after episode 50, the show became better than what it was. Instead of my brain always hurting while I watched, as I automatically predicted what joke they'd make, or what the episode's conclusion would be after watching like 50 seconds of it.
You ate Fluffy, didn't you?
I'll give you a little time to guess what happened. And yep, the caterpillar turned into a butterfly. That's why you couldn't find it. I felt neutral about episode 50, like and onward. It was still weird as hell, but at least there was a clear sense of direction. But by the Pirate Silver episode, the show's writing kept getting better and better until the abrupt ending, which is a damn cliffhanger. They intended to make a second series for some reason instead of just continuing what they had, but to my knowledge the second season / series never happened. So because of that, side plots are unfinished, like Sylvan Rhodesia's thing. Definitely important arcs for the main characters don't start in reference to Tick Tick's art, and the main story remains unresolved. I absolutely hate cliffhanger endings that leave a ton of loose ends untied, and I hate them more if they're guaranteed they never have a sequel or something. Shit like this, but the main plot is not even resolved, annoys me heavily. Even if a series is completely unbearable and terrible to watch, having an ending to that series would be better than not having one and just leaving it at a random point. It also annoyed me a lot more because the show kept getting better and better in general, and I actually kind of wanted to watch it. Although the only reason I kept watching earlier was because it was weird as fuck and sometimes unintentionally funny, and I knew that it would get better because I saw episode 50 in the place I was getting my haircut. Post episode 50's side plots are fine, I guess, as they're always resolved. I find the villains most interesting and I understand their motives, although for Cooper it felt like everyone was unrealistically against him, and his want for revenge was just same as Kriegel's backstory, because he got kicked out of the Egg Temple for being too violent and merciless, even though he's stronger than Gahili like always.
Although Kriego showed much promise as a possible successor and protector of the sacred eggs, his style was far too merciless and cruel to be selected.
Even though I think it was like episode 54, he still ended the match in a draw when Gahili was using a fucking sacred technique that no one knew about. So that whole thing was just bullshit on him. Last backstory that's a bit absurd has to be Silver's backstory. It's understandable stuff. He has a sad backstory. He's an orphan. Basic backstory, right? Gives a good reason as to why he becomes a bad guy in the first place. But him meeting Rhodesia in the past and her being nice to him was a bit much. A little cheesy, if you will. He could have worked the exact same if that little detail wasn't in there.
Let go! I can't breathe!
I know. That's because I'm choking you.
About the jokes in the series, they start off terrible and predictable. I'll give you an example of a predictable joke right here.
I'm right down here. I am the mighty crab roll.
If you couldn't predict that they laugh at the crab because he's small, then your brain must not be working. About none of the jokes were funny in the start, but more in the middle, as in like post Free Range's Nightmare, they got slightly better. Like I'd get a snicker at something someone said, but mostly those would be fourth wall break jokes.
Well, let's both do some yoga.
Hey! 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. Tick Tick, you know this isn't really yoga, right?
Oh, yeah. But it makes more sense for the storyline.
In later episodes of Salted Egg Temple though, they got rid of the fourth wall break jokes and it got a good bit more funny. But I still don't laugh at many of the jokes. The way the characters like emote as well is odd because it reminds me of anime. Like when a character gets angry, they have the triangle eyes without the pupils and the really dense lines around the eyes, and also the muscle veins on their head sometimes. Or when a character is scared or grossed out or feeling awkward, they have the O eyes, and the design becomes a little more simple to fit that change. The anime-esque stuff might just be an Asian cartoon thing, but it added to the weirdness. It really did. But easily the strangest thing in this show has to be...
That's the stinky egg! That's right! The stinky egg is a forbidden technique passed down from evil master to evil student. Yup.
The voice acting is honestly a treat. just Free Range's voice is enough to tell.
See, you're gonna kill everyone, including your mom!
I find it really funny because he talks to everyone like a stereotypical surfer dude, especially for situations that are supposed to be serious, intense, or emotional scenes. Obviously, it's not good, which isn't surprising due to the show's nature. I checked the IMBD to see how many voice actors there are. I don't know if it's IMBD or IMB or whatever. And there are 5. The numbers shouldn't matter though if the voice acting's fine, right? Well, like I just said, it's still weird as hell. Some voices fit their characters like Tick Tick and Silver after a little while. And Cooper's, but most of them go from not fitting at all, like Gahilly's voice, or Gobbler's, to being unnecessarily goofy, like Gobbler's voice.
Hey, newsflash! The wine's not for drinking, you yuts! Yeah! It's part
Like, it's so unfitting, but I can't imagine him with any other voice. Or knowing like Radisha's voice, especially when she screams for whatever reason.
Hey! Let me talk right now!
Will you please settle down? Fine.
Background characters have the dumbest voices imaginable, a lot of the time being reused depending on what they are. Like, a random child character will have the exact same voice as another random child character, same as a random bad guy having the same voice as a random bad guy. Sometimes the characters talk over each other, so you have no idea what they said or when they're supposed to be saying something in unison. They say it at like a slightly different time, so you kinda know what they said. I do wish that better voices were chosen for the characters so that the story could not be taken as a joke at times, but I mean, the writing would weigh the seriousness down a little bit no matter what. I gave you a little hint for this being a possible section, since throughout this I've been dunking on the first 49 episodes of the series because they're my biggest problem with it. Having 49 episodes that are mostly just episodic trash with very predictable jokes, assumingly to introduce every villain, was a stupid idea. All they had to do was make like 8 episodes introducing the Egg Temple and a few of the most important characters and villains like Red Claw or Silver. Then episode 50 could have just been episode 10 and the series could have been over in like 50 more episodes. That would have made the series way better, and it would have given it time to conclude correctly and tie up all its loose ends, since 49 episodes of directionless crap wouldn't have been in the way. Thankfully, due to there being no story for 49 episodes, except the introduction of Red Claw, which was stupid and made Free Range look uncharacteristically stupid, and Silver's 2 episodes, you could have skipped to 50 and you'd be fine, even though it's still nothing spectacular after 50. Just a weird ass show after that. Think it's kinda good too late? But for people who didn't know that, the show really starts at episode 50, or people without an insane amount of hope that the series would get better eventually, they would have stopped watching like 10 episodes in. I assume that they just ran out of money and couldn't continue with a new sequel series for this, or the show is being cancelled, and assuming that they'd be able to make a sequel, they made the final episode a heavy cliffhanger. Kinda sucks because near the end, in conclusion, the show's flat out bad for more than half of its episodes, while only becoming okay for the last 29 episodes. Simply too little too late. I'd have to give the show a 4 out of 10 due to every problem that I listed. 4 out of 10 might even still be too generous. I'm kinda generous with shows like these. I'm kinda generous with media in general, but anyway. They goofed around for too long, and when it was time to do something, they ran out of time to try to do it. And the only person who would ever watch this entire thing either loves laughing at unintentional things in a cartoon, me, someone watching it for a review, me, or a 4-year-old. Keep going, Salted Egg Temple. I'll wait for the sequel that'll never come out. That's it for this video. If you liked it, leave the like and subscribe and like comment what you want me to review next. I was actually thinking of reviewing Turning Red, but then I realized that my review would be the exact same as everybody else's review. Oh, it wasn't for me, but it was good. Or, oh, it wasn't for me, but I hated it. Something like that. So, leave in the comments some next cartoons. I really like reviewing watchable media. It's very fun for me, but I'm thinking of doing Willard next. I don't know if anyone has ever heard of that, but Jesus Christ, it's a lot of audio. Goodbye. 30 minutes, Jesus fuck.